All right. Good morning, everybody. Happy Mother's Day to all the special moms. Can we put our hands together for all the mamas who came? And I want to say thank you to all of the regulars at Heartway who dragged their mama here for a special Sunday. We hope you enjoy it. And I know we already took some time just to honor the moms who are here, but we also want to take some time to honor those of you here who maybe have a complicated relationship with Mother's Day. Maybe you have wanted to be a mom and that's just not something that seems to be possible in this moment. Maybe you have lost a child that you gave birth to, or maybe you're someone who has a strenuous relationship with your mother, or your mom was not there for you, or maybe your mom has passed away. Whatever the case may be, we know that Mother's Day isn't necessarily the funnest day for everybody all the time. And so if that's you in this room today, we just want to say that we love you, we see you, we acknowledge your pain, and we honor you this morning. So let's put our hands together for the other moms in the room. Now, some of you may notice there's something a little bit different about today here at Heartway Church, because I am joined by a very special guest. Who is this woman with these braids? Wow. What's going on? What did you say?
Vacation hair.
Vacation hair, yes. It was for all the photos we just took in Tulum where we just went. Anyways, my wonderful wife, Emily, is going to be helping this morning as we share. And so she's been a little nervous, so can you just be encouraging, okay? And just like clap at everything. If you want to clap at everything she says, I'm sure she'll appreciate it.
No, please don't do that. Please don't do that.
Now, here's the thing. I've kind of been dreading this moment. As beautiful as I think it is that you're standing here with me and we get to do this together, because I never thought that would be a thing. I've been dreading this moment because y'all know I say a lot of things about Emily, right? And so I've been kind of scared at what's going to come out of your mouth today. So please be easy on me.
I'm actually going to turn this into a Q&A about Danny.
Oh, no, you're not turning this into a Q&A
I got
about
all
Danny.
the videos. Everybody's going to see everything.
Oh, my
the
goodness.
real you. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I'll say that for another day.
Yeah, please be nice, okay?
Maybe your birthday.
Anyways, so we're going to take some time this morning to talk about a very important topic, and that topic is self-love. Everybody say self-love. It's so important for you to love yourself. And I know this message isn't necessarily catered to the mamas in the room, but it was inspired by the mamas in the room, because the mamas in the room are very selfless. And sometimes we get so caught up doing everything for everyone else that we forget about the most important person that we have to take care of. Because if you don't take care of you, if you don't watch over you, if you don't pour into yourself, what could you be able to give to anybody else? The best thing that you could ever possibly do for your kids, for your spouse, for your friends, for your job, for your life, for all of your relationships, is to be the healthiest version of yourself. I believe that with all of my heart. And in order to do that, you've got to show yourself some L-O-V-E, love.
Yes, so important. Okay, so we're going to start off with, I'm going to have everybody take out a piece of paper or your cell phone. Everyone.
Yes, and when she says everyone, she means everyone. Yesterday, I'm going to embarrass you.
Oh, my God. Dude.
Yesterday, she's like, listen.
Dude, I come up here and you're still embarrassing me.
I know.
I'm
Sorry.
up here, I'm not up here, I still get embarrassed.
But yesterday, she's like, you know what? When we do this exercise in the beginning, she's like, if I don't see everybody with at least a pen and paper or their phone out, I'm going to call them out. I'm like, babe, these people aren't going to come back to church, okay?
You're so dumb.
So just, if you're not doing it, try and hide very well from Emily.
Oh, my God. Okay, so we're going to write down 3 things. I believe I made a little slide for it, but I will also read it off. So the first thing is going to be something, we're going to all write down something that you are grateful for about yourself. The second thing is going to be something you're grateful for in your life. And the third thing is going to be something or someone you are grateful for in this room. I'll repeat that. First one, something you are grateful for about yourself, something you are grateful for in your life, and then something or someone you are grateful for in this room. Good. Okay, now we're going to all close our eyes. Everybody close your eyes. We're going to take one big deep breath. We're going to reflect on these 3 things that you're grateful for. You're going to imagine them in your mind. Pay attention to that feeling of gratitude. Take a little moment and thank God for them. Take one more deep breath. Okay, now you can open your eyes. You guys just did a little exercise of self-love. Literally, that's one little thing that you can do every day to show yourself what self-love is, because self-love isn't always just about the external. It's not always about the beach days, the spa days. It's not only about eating healthy. It's about the inside. It's about feeding your soul and spending time with yourself, loving yourself. It's about living in a state of constant gratitude and appreciation. I think of self-love as a way of life, really.
I love this idea of cultivating gratitude, or learning how to cultivate peace from the inside out. And it reminds me of this story in the book of Exodus about the people of Israel. If you're familiar with the Jewish storyline, it begins with the people of Israel in slavery. Okay, for 400 years in the book of Exodus, we read that the people of Israel were slaves in Egypt. All they did day in and day out was make bricks and build things for Pharaoh. And if they didn't produce, if they didn't make the right amount of bricks, if they didn't get the job done the way that the Pharaoh wanted the job done, some of them would even be put to death. Many of them would be beaten. It was a horrible, horrible life to live. But because that's all that the people of Israel knew, they were essentially being told that their worth and their identity was attached to what they could produce, what they could accomplish, what they could get done. A lot of us in life are like that. We find our worth, we think that our worth and our value as human beings comes from how much money we make, who likes us, how many people are following us on social media, how much we're able to produce, how much we're able to get done. And what's fascinating to me about the story of Israel is that when God delivers the people of Israel from their slavery, in the 10 Commandments, okay, he tells them basically, I'm going to create a beautiful nation out of you. And here are going to be some of the structures, some of the values that are going to structure your communal life together. And so God gives to the people of Israel the 10 Commandments. And one of those commandments was to keep the Sabbath day holy. In other words, set apart one day out of the week for you just to rest. Set apart one day out of the week to take some time just for you. And the Sabbath was meant to be a reminder to these people who found their worth and their value, because that's what they were told, in how much they could produce and how much they could accomplish. This was a reminder to them that they are not human doings, they are human beings. And sometimes what you need to do is just be. Sometimes you just have to take some time to rejuvenate yourself, to refresh yourself. And so self-love is about rejuvenating and refreshing yourself. But like Emily said, it's not just about taking a vacation, even though that's nice and some of y'all need a vacation. It's not just about a day where you sleep in and you don't do anything all day. Those are important. But self-love, rest, this peace that we're talking about is something that you can actually experience in your everyday life. Okay, self-love is about learning how to find inner rest and inner peace in the depths of your own soul. And so today we're going to talk about what it looks like for us to love ourselves in this way. What does it look like? How can we learn how to be still on the inside? How can we learn how to find that peace that surpasses all understanding, even through the midst of storms and difficulties and challenges in life? How can we be so rooted and grounded in grace that nothing phases us, that nothing gets us out of our faith-filled perspective in life?
Isn't it crazy? I was just thinking about it. Isn't it crazy how, think about the last time that you actually spent time with yourself, besides just now. Or think about the last time you did something for yourself, or even just bought yourself flowers. The other day I went to the Publix and I'm like, I'm going to buy myself flowers. Why do we wait for people to do things for us? Why are we waiting for a guy, or for Mother's Day, for people to bless us with flowers? Like, bless yourself. Give gifts to yourself. You are important. You matter.
Thank you for getting yourself flowers. I'm sorry I haven't done
No,
that
I'm at a point. I don't need
sorry
that.
about
No. I love you, but no. It's
No,
fine.
but I love that. Buy yourself some flowers because you are
love
amazing.
yourself, because you are worth it.
Love
you are
yourself.
worth it.
You have to see it in yourself first. You know what I mean? Something that I'm learning a lot right now about my life. I've always been an insecure person. You know, I felt like when I was younger, like middle school, high school, like I had acne and it always bothered me, and I always felt like I couldn't like talk to girls, and I liked all the girls, but I couldn't talk to them because I thought they might think I'm ugly. And I don't know why. I guess like living in that for so long in my youth developed in me this kind of lack of self-confidence and this sort of insecurity. And something I've noticed from the people that love me the most is that people see something in me that I don't see in myself. You know, a lot of people, their struggle is like they're cocky and they're overconfident and they think they've got it all together. I think my personal issue is on the other side of the spectrum, where it's like I don't think highly enough of myself. I think too lowly of myself. And I'm starting to recognize that I am so much stronger than I ever thought I was. I'm so much more courageous than I ever thought I was. The only person that has been limiting me and holding me back is myself. And so I'm learning how to see in myself all of the good. I'm learning how to see in myself everything beautiful. And I'm doing all that I can in my life to live into that reality. But self-love is all about how you see yourself. Don't talk down about yourself. Don't judge yourself. Don't make yourself feel guilty all the time. Of course you're not perfect. Who said anybody ever needed to be perfect? God only loves imperfection. God only loves imperfect people. You want to know why? Because perfect people don't exist. So imperfect people is all there is for God to love. And imperfect people is all there is for you to love, including yourself. It's okay that you have flaws. It's okay that you're not who you expect yourself to be or who others expect you to be. Encourage yourself. Speak highly of yourself. Speak words of life and courage over yourself. So we're going to talk about how to do that. How can we love ourselves better? I think the way that we love ourselves better is by living our life in connectivity, living our life in relationship, because everything is relational. Everything is connected. We worship the triune God, okay, who exists in eternal relationship. God is relationship. And so in order for us to love ourselves, we have to learn how to live connected lives. And that connection takes on a fourfold form. We're going to see this up in the slides. First and foremost, if you want to love yourself well, you have to make a connection with God. You have to make a connection with nature. You have to make a connection with yourself. And you have to make a connection with others. God, nature, self, and others. And I want to begin by talking about what it means for us to live a life of connectivity with God. The other day, Emily's aunt came over with her beautiful little baby called Penelope, okay? She's the cutest ever. And every time that, Emily is with P, she forgets about everybody else, okay? And she just totally goes into mom mode or aunt mode and just loves on this little child who's the cutest child ever. Well, they were playing around in the house, and at some point Emily said to Penelope, hey, do you want to go sit on the hammock and lay on the hammock that we have? And so she takes Penelope outside and she lays her into the hammock, and she's just loving it.
By the way,
yeah,
we need to learn how to, that just made me think of this. We need to learn how to relax and rest just like children do.
yes.
The way this little girl, she lays on the hammock, she puts her hands back and just, no stress, no worries in the world. We need to learn how to do that more. So continue.
Penelope is sitting there in the hammock and Emily's playing with her. And then eventually her parents had to go. They had to go do something. And so Penelope's dad came over to her to put on her shoes. Okay, and as soon as he came over to her, she goes, Papa! And he grabs one of her feet. She's literally dangling over like this with her feet in the hammock. And he takes one of her feet, he gets a sandal, and he puts it on her. And Penelope's just looking at Dad like this the whole time. It was like this was her whole world, was Dad putting on the sandal. And she's just looking with her eyes wide open. And then as soon as that sandal finally comes onto her foot completely, she goes, wow! Wow! And I'm looking at this like, oh my goodness, like how beautiful is it? For this child, this one little moment was the world to her. It was God to her. It was joy. It was love. This little ordinary moment was extraordinary for her because that's how she chose to look at it. That's why I think Jesus said, if you want to enter into the kingdom of heaven, you have to become like one of these little ones. You have to learn how to look at all of life and be amazed. Everything that you see all around you all the time is a means through which God is trying to communicate God's very own love and presence and grace and power and wisdom into your life. So connecting with God is about connecting with everything. It's learning how to see every moment, every experience, even every difficulty and challenge as a tool that helps you to grow closer to God and a tool that helps you to know yourself better. I want to read to you this wonderful quote that I came across the other day that I think will be really impactful for us. And if not, if we don't have it on the slide, I'll read it for you. It says this: anything that annoys you is teaching you patience. Anyone who abandons you is teaching you how to stand up on your own 2 feet. Anything that angers you is teaching you forgiveness and compassion. Anything that has power over you is teaching you how to take your power back. Anything you hate is teaching you unconditional love. Anything you fear is teaching you courage to overcome your fear. Anything you cannot control is teaching you how to let go and trust in God. That's the kind of mindset that connects you with God in and through every moment, every experience, and every single encounter that you have. Think about, imagine how much beautiful your life would be if you looked for the beauty of God in every situation. Eventually, you can actually get to a point in your journey of faith where you can look back at all of your life, all of the trauma, all of the pain, all of the heartache, all of the breakups, and you can say, all of it is a gift. All of it is a gift because all of it has made me into the person that I am today. And even if you're not at that place where you can say everything is a gift, then try and find the gift in everything. Try and find that one little thing that you can hold on to. There's always something in every circumstance, in every situation, as bad as you think that it may be, that you can hold on to, that can anchor you and keep you in that faith-filled, hope-filled perspective for the future. I love how this one mystic, Rumi, puts it when he says, live your life as if everything is rigged in your favor. Live your life as if everything is rigged in your favor. You want to know what starts happening when you believe that everything in your life is rigged in your favor? Everything starts being rigged in your favor. Why? Because you choose that to be the reality of your life. You know what happens when you choose to believe that God works all things together for the good of those who love God and are called according to God's purpose? Everything ends up working out for your good and for your benefit. Why? Because that is the lens through which you have chosen to interpret and see everything that happens in your life. That's how you can live a life of communion with God. Everything is your communion with God. Every interaction that you have is your communion with God. Allow life to be the means through which God comes to you. God always comes to you in the form of your life. That's why some people, they think God can only be found when I close my eyes and pray. I love in the Gospels, there's this one example where Jesus is praying, but he didn't bow his head and close his eyes. That's the normal position we take of prayer, right? For humility, right? Before God, surrender. We bow our heads and close our eyes. But there's this one instance after the Last Supper when Jesus prayed that it said he lifted his head up to the heavens, and with his eyes open and his arms spread wide, he began to pray. That's a different sort of disposition in life. That's about dignity. That's about confidence. We need to open our eyes more. God is not just encountered when we close our eyes and pray. God is encountered when we open our eyes and we begin to see the beauty of life and the beauty of God in everything.
Yeah, really recent for me, we decided, well, mostly I decided that I was going to redo my whole patio because for me, I love traveling. I love the feeling I have when I travel. I just love that freeness and no stress, whatever. So I decided, you know what? Let me make my patio a little oasis. Here's a little picture of my patio. So I got a lot of plants because I love plants. One, plants actually, scientifically, I sent Danny an article the other day, how they reduce stress and all this, whatever. I'll go into the plants a little later. So I decided to get a hammock. The hammock didn't come made. I wish it did. But, so it comes in the mail. It's pouring rain outside. I'm like, dang. I would love to build this hammock right now. So I'm waiting all day. Finally, it's nighttime. It stops raining. I finally get to go build my hammock. Nobody's home. I'm by myself. All right. I'm like, all right, how am I going to do this? How am I going to figure this out? So I take the hammock outside. I start building it. It's really hard to build by myself because it's like a semi-circle thing. So I'm like over here thinking, I'm like, what will my dad do? So I set up like some chairs. The chairs are falling. It's like really, really difficult doing this by yourself. So I'm doing this. I'm struggling, but I'm figuring it out. And then it starts raining. And I'm like, okay, all right. I have one of two choices. Either I'm going to get really pissed off, just leave the stupid hammock and say, screw it. I'll figure this out later. I'll call my dad. Maybe he can do it. Or I can, I don't know, maybe see the rain as a beautiful, peaceful background noise that cannot even, like, for real, a lot of times we make rain and like we make situations a problem when they're not. Yeah. Why does rain have to bother me? I get wet in the shower. I'm at home. I can just go home and change my clothes. You know, like, so in that moment, I remember I stopped and I just started thinking, I'm like, all right, what am I going to do? Really, what am I going to do? I'm like, getting pissed off is going to do nothing. I'm not going to have a hammock. So why not just see the rain as a beautiful, peaceful, you know, just sound in the background. And I built my hammock. I was able to lay on it. And now I'm able to just be so conscious about making, you know, just seeing the positive in anything that can be bad.
Yes, it's making the most of every moment.
Yeah.
You can do this all day, every day.
Yeah.
And you choosing not to...
It is an exercise, though.
Yeah, but,
you know,
here's where it's going to make sense to you. You choosing not to do this is you bringing suffering on yourself.
Nothing.
And we do this all day. Damn it, it's raining and now I can't freaking do this hammock. Whatever, I'm going to go inside. And then you go inside and then the dishes aren't done. Seriously, you didn't do the dishes yet and it's raining outside and I'm stressed. And then things just accumulate and build all day. And before you know it, you are negative Nancy and everything is against you. Why? Because you choose it to be so.
Yes, yes.
You choose it to be so. And so it's very hard at first to turn a negative into a positive. It's very hard at first to make the most of every moment. But you know what's even more difficult? Not doing that. Not doing that. And so it's choosing to make the most of every moment. I absolutely love that. Yes. Anytime that you resist reality, anytime that you resist what is, you cause yourself a lot of pain and suffering. Okay, so finding peace, finding that internal rest is all about not needing your life to be anything other than it is in this moment. Not needing any other human being to be anything other than what they are in this moment. To fully accept what is coming to you in every present moment with love and gratitude and appreciation. It's easy to do this when everything's going your way, but the practice is learning how to do this when things don't go your way. And eventually what you'll learn to do is to let go of the need for things to go your way at all, because nothing ever really goes your way. And if you want things to go your way all the time, and that's what's only going to make you happy, you're going to be miserable most of the time. And so to commune with God is to allow everything to be a channel through which you cultivate that communion with God further and further, deeper and deeper. What's the next one?
So the next self-love is connection with nature. We're going to start off with this verse. I think we have a slide for the verse.
From Romans chapter 1.
Yeah. For ever since the creation of the world, God's invisible attributes, God's eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood through creation, all of creation, the wonderful things that he has made. Romans 1:20. So for me, creation is one of the most beautiful ways that I have been able to connect with God. Just traveling and being one with nature, then from building my little garden oasis at home. It's funny because actually this morning I was like, you know what, I should probably count how many plants I have. And I started counting. Can anyone guess how many I have?
25.
No. Ooh.
32.
Wait, what? Somebody? No, you like double that. I have 65. 65. I don't know how that happened, but I don't know.
I'm not going to say anything.
Let me just keep going, and then you guys will maybe have some compassion. Yes, exactly. So for me, I like to call myself a plant mom. Well, all my friends actually, they started calling me plant mom. So I'm like, I guess this is like a real thing. Because for real, plants, you have to literally take care of them for them to stay alive. So for me, plants have become just this beautiful way of reminding myself about self-love. So every time I'm watering my plants, it's a reminder, just like I need to water my plants, I need to water my own life and my own soul. I need to water my own garden. Just like the plants need love, and they grow from that. I see how they grow, so then I'm like, imagine what I can do to myself and my life if I give myself that power and that love. So it's just added so much beauty to my life, having these plants, and also what's really crazy is that not only do we have a spiritual connection to our plants, we also have a physical connection to our plants. What the plants breathe out is actually what we breathe in, which is actually so cool, so crazy. The other day, I remember, this is how connected I am with my plants. I have this cactus. It bloomed. I remember let me tell the story better. I remember I'm in the living room, and out of nowhere, I'm like, oh! Danny's like, what happened? I'm like, look at my cactus. If you follow me on Instagram, my cactus bloomed the most beautiful flower I have ever seen. Seriously, I'm not even joking. Danny even saw it, and he was like, oh my God, it was like this beautifully bloomed flower. And then what's crazy is that the next day, it was gone. So I'm like, what? I'm like, that's so weird. So I looked it up, and literally it said that this one cactus, it blooms flowers it barely ever blooms flowers. And if it does, it blooms like the most beautiful for 1 hour. And I happened to see it in that 1 hour, which is so crazy because I'm like barely ever home. I'm always like upstairs, and that just shows you how like connected I am to my plants. So I don't know where I was even going with that, but yeah.
I love that.
Just
That's so good. I love
plants are great.
plants are great.
You need to stop resisting them and loving
Yes,
them. You know what's
I know,
funny?
I am.
Danny's always like, I think I'm sick. Because of your plants. I'm like, dude, I don't have any flowers. He loves to blame his sickness on my plants, but they're giving him good air.
Problems. I have a lot of allergy problems.
It's not my plants. I have no flowers.
It happens to be that they started getting worse as Emily started getting more plants. So I don't know. I
have 0 flowers besides that one flower that bloomed. But
you know
that,
what?
I have
You
no
know what this
flowers.
reminds me of? Like you being able to catch that cactus blooming like that, because it died like the next day, right? That little thing. Like it only lasts how long? How long does that last?
It lasts 1 day, but it's at its full beauty
this
for 1 hour.
Beautiful like flower comes out for 1 day, and
It was
then it
huge.
just shrivels and dies.
It was really big, yeah.
I wonder how often like our life is blooming like that, and God's light is trying to shine through into our life like that, through a person, through an event, through a circumstance, and we miss it because we're not paying attention. We're always trying to get to some other moment. We're always trying to do some other thing. What are you chasing after, and why? What else do you need other than the fullness of God that is present to you and with you in this moment? That's the message of all of the mystics. You're looking for things out here that are never going to satisfy your soul. Everything that you need, you already have and you already possess. All you have to do is look. All you have to do is open your eyes. I love this one medieval theologian by the name of John Scotus. He talks about creation, nature, as something that flows out of the very essence and substance of God. And because all of creation flows from the very life of God and comes forth from the very life of the Trinity, everything in creation, everything in all of the universe contains within it the divine DNA, the divine presence of God, the divine beauty and power of God, including you, which means that every human being that you see, everything that you see is the face of God in some way, shape, or form. So I like to think of the universe as the body of God, and I like to think about God as the soul of the universe. Look for the soul in everything. Look for the beautiful in everything. Look for God's life and God's essence in everything that you see, and allow that to be enough for you. Allow that to fill your heart with such appreciation and gratitude that you don't need anything else other than this present moment. It's beautiful to me to recognize how connected we are, not just to one another, but also to nature. It's interesting because a lot of people think that they as humans are separate from the rest of nature. and different from the rest of nature. When the scriptures teach very clearly, from the dust we came, and back to the dust we will return. We are connected to this soil. We are, scientifically speaking, the earth becoming conscious of itself. And you and I as human beings, we are dependent on everything else in nature. We are a part of a much larger web of life, an ecosystem. And every part of that ecosystem, everything that is a part of this web of life matters and is necessary. And so now when we go out into nature, now when we interact with other human beings, and when we go to the beach, and when we see the trees, and when we're looking, and when we're playing with our dogs, we carry with ourselves so much more reverence for everything that we're interacting with. We see the dignity in everything that exists, and that's ultimately what it means for you to connect with nature.
Yeah. For me, I have been able to connect so much with God, especially whenever I travel and I see mountains, or when I hike a mountain. Oh, that feeling of freedom and just beauty. And for me, I remember I started thinking the other day, and I'm like, you know what's crazy? How people they look at mountains, but they're like, oh, I would never want to climb that. Like, that looks too intense. Or I want to move mountains. But for me,
mountains
I'm like,
are like a problem. They're an
they're like a
obstacle.
problem, an obstacle in our lives. But I started thinking about it. I'm like, no, like, mountains are beautiful. They're literally like the journey of life, like climbing and descending. That's literally life. And we need to learn how to love and embrace that. Once we learn how to love and embrace that, we can enjoy the view at the top, at the bottom, through it, in it.
I love that.
All of that. We can learn to
That's
just
good, girl.
love
That
it and
deserves
be on
an
that
applause.
journey.
I like that. Come on, Bishop. Pastora Emily.
Oh, stop.
That's what my dad calls her,
my
Pastora
God.
Emily.
No.
I love it.
It's so annoying.
Yeah, so that's just amazing.
But yeah, mountains are just, we need to learn, like I said, just how to enjoy that journey. Enjoy
Talk
it.
about, remember how you said like before going on vacation or traveling was like it for you, but now like...
Oh yeah. For me, I remember there was a point, not that long ago actually, where I was like, man, I want to move. I need to be around mountains all the time. Like, that's where I find my freedom. And I remember I started thinking one day, and I'm like, wait, why am I living for like another life that I don't have? Why can't I bring that same feeling into my everyday life? That same mountaintop feeling, we can have that here. We just have to create it. So that's why I did like my little patio, because it makes me happy. I literally go and sit on the hammock now, and I spend time with myself. And for me, that's one of my ways of loving myself, just because being one with myself. I listen to music, and I'm just being with myself. Like, literally, self-love is not... It is a hard journey to get to, but it's really not that hard. Like, we're just afraid to face ourselves and be one with ourselves, I guess.
No, that's very good. All right, the third one.
The third one.
The third one is connecting with self. Okay, and that's obvious and very important, but you have to have a good relationship with yourself, and you have to take care of and love yourself. So the way I think we should think about how to relate to ourselves is through a more holistic approach. Okay, so think about yourself in three categories: mind, body, and soul. You've got to give the proper attention, and you've got to give yourself the proper amount of care in each of these categories. Otherwise, something is going to be off balance in your life. Mind, body, and soul. I want to start by talking with you about the mind. Okay, something that I feel that has been my saving grace in life has been my curiosity. I've always been willing to ask the hard questions. And because I've been willing to ask questions, because I've never gotten to the point where I've thought I have arrived and I have all knowledge, I'm constantly learning new things. I'm constantly evolving. I'm constantly seeing and growing. And everybody has become my teacher. Everyone should become your teacher too. Everything should be your teacher in life. And so be the kind of person who's humble enough to recognize that you don't have all the answers. And recognize that your beliefs are things that will evolve and change over time. Don't be passionate about your belief system. Be passionate about God. Okay, there's a difference between having beliefs about God and having faith in God. You can have faith in God while all of your beliefs about God are scrambling all over the place. Because you have questions and you have concerns and you have other perspectives and you heard this the other day. That's how it should actually be. Your faith and your trust in God can remain the same. It could remain strong even when your beliefs about God are different. Because belief is more an intellectual exercise. Faith is an experiential exercise. Okay, that's why it's even hard for me sometimes now to say, yeah, I believe in God, or to say that my goal is to help other people believe in God, because beliefs are fickle. Okay, if you make this whole thing about believing in God, well, you have to defend beliefs. You have to prove beliefs, right? I can't prove to you anything about God. I'm sorry, I know. If y'all think I was going to give you at any point in time some sort of foolproof plan about why God exists, I don't have that. But what I can tell you is that I have experienced a transcendence in life. I have experienced a moreness to life. I have experienced a love and a comfort and a presence in the deepest recesses of my soul that I choose to call God. And it carries me through every moment of every day. And it gives my life meaning and coherence. And it gives a good and positive future and outlook for my life and for all of the universe. And so you've got to let go of the need to know everything. Faith is not certainty. Many of us were taught that faith equals certainty. Being certain that what I believe is true and it's this way and no other way. No, faith is about still trusting even when you're uncertain. Okay, so don't be passionate about your belief systems. Be passionate about God. Keep your mind open. If there's anything I can tell you about the mind, it's this. Keep your mind open. An open mind and a clear mind will take you a very long way in your life. Always read. Always fill yourself with
Listen to audiobooks.
Yeah, you can listen to audiobooks, you can listen to podcasts, and be playful with your beliefs. You don't have to, some of us, we're so uptight about our beliefs. Like, loosen up a little bit. Loosen up a little bit. It's okay to look at things from another perspective, try on different worldviews, and allow yourself. That's how you make faith your own. Okay, my intention at Heartway is not to tell you what to think, is to teach you how to think. Everybody already knows the truth. It's within you. God is within you. If you listen close enough, you will arrive at the same conclusion that all of the mystics and saints have. Okay? But you've gotta be paying attention in order to do that. So stay curious, stay open, stay humble, always learn.
Yeah. So next we have body. For most of us, our bodies are, a really hard thing, I think. Just because finding happiness and just being content with what we have. But once we figure out that our bodies are our temples and our bodies are beautiful, of all shapes and sizes, we are all beautiful. If you don't love your body, this is a really cool thing. If you don't love your body, make it lovable. Go to the gym, work out, or don't work out, but eat healthy. It's crazy to me because the more I've been in tune with myself and my body, the more good food my body has been craving. And I started thinking the other day, because I remember the other day I posted on my Instagram how I haven't had pizza in a really long time. And everybody's like, oh my God, you're crazy, this and that. Because if you know us, we've always been like the pizza people. Like, we will go ham like on a huge thing of pizza. But I started really thinking about that, and I started thinking about how I would feel after I would eat that. And all I can think of is negative thoughts. I remember one day, Danny, he ate way too much, way too much. Like, I remember I have a video on my phone somewhere where he's literally in the back seat on all fours, like, trying to not throw up, trying to even
he couldn't drive.
He couldn't drive. I remember I had to stop the car, and he's like, I can't move.
Yeah.
I can't move.
I told her, I'm like, I need to
move.
lay down in the
He's
back.
like, oh my
I
God.
have to
No,
lay
but
down
he's
in
like
the
on all fours, and then he's like laying down, and then he's like, oh, like he can't even, like, I think he unbuttoned his
John
pants
the Baker.
and everything.
John the
Like,
Baker.
it was bad. It was bad. So, like, I think about things like that, and I'm like, I mean, I've had moments like that where I can't even, like, keep my pants, like, buttoned because it hurt. My stomach hurts so bad. And then the next day I'm so, like, swollen and gross, and I just think about how that makes me feel, and I'm like, this is not healthy. This is, like, not healthy. Obviously, there's, you have to have a balance. You can have pizza, but a lot of times we indulge too much on food, and we're not listening to what our body wants. Our bodies, what's crazy is that when we're in tune with our bodies, it will literally tell you, like, you need water. Think about the times that you're thirsty. That obviously means you need to drink more water. If your body's constantly telling you you're thirsty, if your body's like constantly craving fruit, my body craves a lot of fruit, and I just think about the way that makes me feel, and since I have changed my eating habits, I have been just mentally so much happier, just so much more fulfilled. I don't have to deal with like feeling bad about eating this or eating that or doing that. It's just been like a full like mind body thing that I'm like feeding my soul while feeding like myself.
Yeah, in the same way that the mind affects the body also affects the mind. It goes both ways. Everything is connected. Everything is in relationship with everything else. Has anyone heard the phrase "beauty is in the eye of the beholder"? Okay, that's true when it comes to your body too. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And so if you don't think that your body is beautiful, you can do something about that. And let me be honest with you. You getting a six-pack, you losing 40 pounds, you being super fit like so-and-so on social media is not going to bring you happiness. Some of those people are the most insecure people around.
Whenever I was at my like lowest weight, I did bodybuilding shows. I did like the bikini division, and you had to be like a stick. Like I was the skinniest I was ever in my life, and I thought that would have brought me joy. I literally had a six-pack, like super shredded. I was the least happiest I have ever been. Mm-hmm. I will tell you that.
Yeah, because you never feel like you're enough.
Yeah.
You're always having, I have to tweak this, I have to fix this, and look at this other person. Then you start comparing yourself.
Yeah.
So the answer is not, I'm going to go look like a model now. That's not the answer. The answer is I have to change my mindset. I am beautiful. Why? Because I am. That's it. You don't need any other reason to think that you're beautiful other than you just are. Because everyone is. Everyone is. So you learn how to cultivate that and see yourself in that way. And then, did you have anything else with the body?
No, that was
And then
it.
the last category was soul. Soul. What are some of those habits that you're developing to nourish your soul? Okay, everybody nourishes their soul in a different way. Maybe for you, you can nourish your soul by going to the gym. Other people like to read. Other people like to go out to the beach. Other people like to take a walk around the park or go to a neighborhood. Whatever it is that you do to refresh yourself, make sure that you're being intentional about planning these things and putting them in your schedule and having a sort of rhythm where you can expose yourself to these kind of soul refreshing practices so that you can always be in a state of mind that's going to produce goodness and love and joy in your life. And so it's very important when we talk about nourishing the soul that we talk about spiritual disciplines too. Okay, if you look at Jesus' life, my goodness, all the time the scriptures say that Jesus would withdraw from the crowds and spend some time in solitude. All of the time, it would say that Jesus would fast. Jesus would pray. Jesus would be generous. Jesus would show solidarity with the poor. These were all spiritual practices that he created in a rhythmic way in his life to keep himself connected to God and connected to other people. So you have to find what that practice or what those practices are going to be for yourself. But just like anything else in life, if you don't have repetition, if you don't have discipline, it's not going to work. Okay, so maybe for you, it's, you know what, every night before I go to bed, I'm going to commit 15 minutes to reading either the Bible or a devotional or a book that I like, or on my ride home to work, on my ride from my house to work every morning, I'm going to listen to this podcast just for some self-nourishment, whatever it is for you. For me in my life, I just started waking up every morning, and before I leave the house, I'm going to meditate for 10 to 15 minutes. Sometimes I go on YouTube or I download apps that do guided meditations. Other times I'm just silent, resting in the presence of God. But I was listening to someone the other day talking about this, and they were asked, hey, what is it that you get out of your meditation practice? And the teacher said, nothing. But I'll tell you what I've lost. My anger, my bitterness, my resentment, my judgmentalism. Okay, why? Because in that moment when you're just bathing yourself in the presence of God, when you're creating this space between yourself and your thoughts. See, that space between yourself and your thoughts, that's where the voice of God is found. That space between yourself and your thoughts, that's where peace is found. So if you could learn how to live from that space and to be in that space every moment of every day, you'll have so much more clarity. You'll have so much more peace of mind. But it takes practice. So develop rhythms, develop habits that can help grow you spiritually and connect you more with your own soul. And another part of this too, when it comes to connecting with your soul, you have to face your problems. You have to face your issues. Stop running away from what happened to you 10 years ago. Stop pretending like that didn't happen. Stop repressing your feelings and your emotions.
That one goes into our last one, which is connection with others. I have here, self-love takes a lot of vulnerability, and this is why I say self-love isn't the easiest journey. Just because, at least for myself, being vulnerable has been one of the hardest things I've ever had to deal with. Just because I've always been like Miss Tough Girl, I'm gonna figure it out. I never cry. Literally, we watch movies and Danny will be sobbing like next to me, and he'll look at me. He's like, and I'm just like, serious. I'm like, I'm not, and literally in my head, I'm like, I'm not gonna cry. Why am I gonna cry?
Who doesn't cry during This Is Us? Has anybody seen? Come on, dude. Everybody. How can you? Do you have a heart? I don't get it.
So, but how I am like that, that's how I've been a lot of my life, just like holding everything in. I'm like, I'm not gonna cry because why do I need to cry? I'm like, it's not gonna do anything for me. But really, crying is like an amazing release. Now that I'm actually crying and releasing my emotions, a lot of times I've been like, you know what, like nobody needs to hear my problems, nobody cares, like I don't need friends. I've been more of like a loner, like to myself, like I said, just dealing with my own problems. And the more I've been surrounding myself with like really amazing people, they've been able to like to pull out the good and the bad in me, and it's helped me just to be vulnerable and just to love more people. And the more vulnerable I am, the more freedom I have been able to feel. Even during worship, I remember during worship, I would just like, I would still worship, but I wouldn't fully experience it because I was still guarded. And like I said, I would still worship, but it just wasn't the same. Now I'm able to, I cry sometimes in the front just worshiping, and it's like this most freeing, beautiful experience that I would love for everyone to experience that. So vulnerability is huge.
It's okay
and surrounding
to be
yourself,
weak.
yes.
It's okay to
Yes.
need help. It's okay to not have it all together. You want to know why? Because when you are weak, He is strong. Okay? It is in our powerlessness that we access the very power of God. And that power will take you a lot further than your own willpower ever can. And so it's okay to just be honest and to give yourself freely and to be real with yourself and find some people that you can be genuine with. I'm so not interested in so many of the conversations that people have nowadays. The people closest to me, when we hang out, we'll talk about the surface level things, but at some point or the other, we're gonna get to the level of the soul. Because for me, that's really all that matters to me now. And so I'm always trying to have these kind of conversations with people, learn from their experiences, hear what they've been through, and allow them to speak into my life. Surround yourself with people who are going to inspire you, who are going to lift you up, who are on a similar path that you are on. That's how you're going to be able to do this. But it's so important when it comes to the vulnerability, because a lot of us, we live our lives like this, right? We've been so hurt in the past that we're like, I'm not getting hit again. So I'm going to live protected. I'm going to have my hands up. So you can live like this. And nobody may be able to punch you, but nobody will be able to hug you either. You know what I mean? Like, you may be able to live a very defended, protected life, and that means you're going to avoid pain, but that means you're also going to be running away from love too. The two go together. You know what I mean? Just like in life, the two go together. And so be vulnerable, be open, and surround yourself with people who allow you to be who you are. Okay? Stop making everybody in your life become who you think they should be. Nobody has to change for you. And you shouldn't want anybody else to change. In fact, when you are looking at another person, whatever you think they need to change that about yourself. If you do that every time, I promise you will live in so much more peace. So much more peace. Yes. Now, that was the gist of it. We're going to leave you with a couple takeaways.
Yes.
Go for it.
So I have a few slides for them, actually. The first one, start small and work your way up. Whether it's maybe for everyone's journey is going to be different. For some of us, it's going to be maybe starting with good eating habits. Some of us, it's going to be journaling. Some of us, it's going to be exercising. Whatever it is, start small and then work your way up. Second, balance is not something you find. Balance is something you create. Set boundaries for yourself. Don't be a yes person, but don't also just be a no person. Balance is super important. Third, be patient with yourself. Self-love is an ongoing adventure. Remember, mountains have ups and downs that get easier to climb and descend with time and strength.
Yes, the worst thing that you can do, people, is judge yourself and get mad at yourself when you're not doing all of these things. That's the complete opposite of what we're telling you to do. Don't go home and be like, oh my God, I didn't eat good today, or I didn't go to the gym, or I judged somebody and I shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Don't beat yourself up about it, okay? All of it is a part of the path of learning and growing and discovering yourself.
And kind of like we talked about in the beginning, it's all about your minds, like bringing yourself back to that decision. Which side am I going to go on?
Yeah, my jiu-jitsu instructor the other day wrote me a little. Yeah, I have a lot.
Guys, he's still in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
Can we
I'm
give a
proud
round of applause
myself.
for that?
I'm proud of myself. Thank you.
If you were here for Easter, he was like on the verge of quitting, which I'm really proud of you.
Yeah,
Good
so,
job, babe.
my neck is a little stiff right now. I'm not going to get into it, but okay. Anyways, I have a lot of things to say about this, but I'll save it for other sermons.
Yeah.
But just the other day, my jiu-jitsu instructor said, Danny, in jiu-jitsu, you either win or you learn. And I thought, that's a good way to look at life. You either win or you learn. There's no such thing as failure. There's no such thing as a mistake. You either win or you learn. We don't get to God by doing things right. We stumble our way to God. We get to God by doing things wrong and learning from them. And God is okay with the process. Okay? And you need to be okay with the process too. So don't beat yourself up.
Okay.
And if you need a Bible
Yeah.
verse, Romans chapter 8, verse 1, there is therefore now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. No condemnation. God does not condemn you. Do not condemn yourself.
That's good. Okay, fourth, whenever your happiness or contentment isn't attached to something, you're on the right path. Don't find happiness in things or people, because if you do that, you're never going to be happy. Be happy with just what is and just being. Okay, fifth, stop being here and be more here. Be connected to yourself and live from the heart. And then whenever we can connect with ourselves, we can connect with everything else so much better. Like I said, whenever we're filled up, we can give so much more to the world so freely and not even have to work for it. It just happens naturally.
I love the idea of living from your heart. There's this one teacher that I admire, Joseph Campbell, who says, follow your bliss. Follow your bliss. What are you waiting for? What is it that makes you happy? What are you passionate about? What have you always wanted to try and do, but you keep pushing off till later because you don't think you're capable of doing it, or the circumstances aren't right, or whatever? Get that out of the way. Life is very short. Life is too short for you to not do what you love and love what you do. So follow your bliss. Do everything that you can to get into that sweet spot in life so that you can be so filled with joy and happiness that it just spills over from your life into the lives of others too. Did you guys get something out of this today? Yeah. Good. Okay, good. Awesome. Couple of little announcements, and I'm going to pray for you. So really quickly, this Friday, okay, we're going to be doing our team night. It's called Heartway Unplugged. We're going to be on Hollywood Beach, okay, and we're meeting from 7:30 until whenever, and we're going to have some worship music playing, and I'm going to share a few words of encouragement, and I'm going to update people on what's happening in the life of the church. If you want to get connected, if you want to meet other people, build some relationships, I really want to invite you to come. It's for everybody, okay? So it doesn't matter if you serve or you don't serve. Just come, meet some folks. It'll be a great time. I love you guys, and I'd like to pray for you before we go. So let me pray. God, we are so thankful for the gift of life. In this moment, we receive your love flowing into our hearts. And we thank you, God, for filling us with gratitude. Forgive us, Lord, for all of those moments that we haven't had our eyes opened and we've ignored your voice. God, help us to be the kind of people who can see ourselves the way that you see us, as a masterpiece. Help us to see the beauty in every moment, in every experience, in every person. Help us to see the beauty in ourselves. God, we commit ourselves to connecting with you, with creation, with ourselves, and with one another. And we hope, God, that as we give ourselves in this way, we can be more and more conformed into the image of Christ, and that your light will be able to shine through us so that all can see through our good works how amazing life is and how amazing you are. I lift up every single person here underneath the sound of my voice. You know their struggles. You know their pain. You know their heartache. God, today we leave that at your feet. Help us to find the good, even in the so-called bad. Help us, God, to be attentive to what it is that you are trying to speak and communicate to us through every circumstance. God, we're committing to loving ourselves in the same way that you love us. And help us, God, as a result of loving ourselves, to be able to love others too. And to love everything, to love life, to love all of it. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Awesome. Thank you guys for being here. Love you. Have a great rest of the